What I'm about to tell you might sound intense, but you need to hear it. Multiple supply chain experts are sounding the alarm. Major disruptions are expected right after May 5th. And no, this isn't some scare tactic. This is real. Remember what happened back in 2020? Store shelves were stripped bare in just 72 hours. This time, though, we've got a chance to be smarter. Over the past week, I've been deep in research mode, digging through supply data, expert reports, and survival guides to find out exactly which grocery items are going to vanish first. And I've narrowed it down to 6 critical products that you absolutely need to lock down before May 5th. This isn't about panic buying. It's about smart, calm preparation. These 6 items aren't random. They're the exact ones that disappear first every time a supply chain takes a hit. If you want to make sure your family's covered when things get rough, you'll want to hear this. So hit that subscribe button right now, because this information could seriously make a difference in the coming weeks. Let's start with the first, and possibly the most overlooked, essential, long shelf life water. Now don't roll your eyes just yet. This isn't about grabbing a few plastic bottles from the grocery store. I'm talking about specialized, long-lasting water. The kind that can sit on a shelf for decades without turning into chemical soup. Trust me, I learned this the hard way. Last year I opened a case of water I'd stored, and it tasted like melted plastic. Never again. Here's the reality. During the Texas power grid collapse, water became more valuable than gold. People were melting snow just to flush their toilets. My cousin in Houston, he was trading premium bourbon for a few gallons of water by day 3. It was that bad. According to a recent University of Michigan study, the average person needs at least 1 gallon of water per day. That's not just for drinking. That's for hygiene, cooking, and staying alive. A family of 4 needs 120 gallons to get through just 1 month. Sounds like a lot, right? I thought the same, until I tracked our family's water use for a week. 1 gallon per person is the bare minimum. Now here's the part you won't hear on the news. There are 2 brands that survival experts swear by, Aquablocks and Blue Can. These aren't your typical water bottles. They use high-grade aluminum canning tech, similar to what NASA uses, and they last up to 30 years. No joke. That means no worrying if your emergency stash is still good after 2 hot summers in the closet. And get this. FEMA's latest report showed that within the first 72 hours of a water crisis, hospitals saw a 400% spike in dehydration cases. But the shocker? Most of those patients weren't elderly or sick. They were healthy adults who simply didn't prepare. Just last week, I ordered a 2-month supply for my family. The company I bought from is already posting low stock warnings. Their rep told me, off the record, that orders have skyrocketed 400% this month, and they're about to start limiting how much people can buy. That's not even public info yet. One last tip. Don't keep all your water in one spot. Spread it out, under beds, in closets, even behind furniture. That way, if something happens to one area of your home, you still have access to the rest. Most people miss this detail, but it could save you in an emergency. But here's the thing most people never consider. Your emergency supplies are only useful if you can actually reach them. I learned that lesson the hard way last spring when our basement flooded. Half of our stored goods, completely inaccessible. And let me tell you, it's a horrible feeling to realize you're prepared, but not protected. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to wake you up. A recent Red Cross survey showed that 60% of American families don't even have enough water stored to last 3 days. That's not just risky. That's a crisis waiting to happen. Water systems are incredibly fragile. One power outage at a treatment plant, one broken pipe, and boom, thousands are left without clean water. Just look at what happened in Baltimore earlier this year. Over 400,000 people were without safe drinking water for almost a week, all because of a single pipe failure. People mock preparation until disaster hits their doorstep. Last winter, my neighbor laughed when he saw my garage stacked with water containers. But when his pipes froze and his faucets ran dry, guess who came knocking? You should have seen the look on his face when I handed him 3 gallons of clean, purified water while the rest of the block was out there melting snow just to flush their toilets. That moment right there. That's why water isn't just priority number 1, it's priorities 1, 2, and 3. Now, let's talk about the second item on our survival list. Shelf-stable protein. And this one's just as crucial. Here's a cold truth. Protein is always the first thing to vanish when food supply chains break. I lived through it during the 2020 shortages. You'd walk into the store, and the meat aisles looked like they'd been hit by a tornado. My neighbor Jim waited just a bit too long and ended up feeding his kids peanut butter sandwiches for a week straight. Don't be Jim. Most people don't realize this, but when your body is under stress, like during a crisis, it actually needs more protein, not less. A Stanford study found that in extended stress situations, your body requires up to 25% more protein just to function normally. So when you're trying to stay calm, alert, and energized, your body will be begging for it. I felt it myself during a multi-day power outage last winter. Even though I was eating enough calories, I was constantly hungry, moody, and drained. By day 3, I realized my body wasn't getting the protein it needed. Forget just hoarding tuna. That's beginner level. I spoke with 3 former military survival experts last month, and they all agreed tuna didn't even make their top 5. Their suggestions? They completely changed how I prepare. Number 1, canned chicken. Not only does it taste good straight from the can, but you get twice the protein per dollar compared to tuna. At about $2.89 a can, you're getting 32 grams of protein that can be eaten cold if needed. I keep a 24-pack stacked in a small space in my storage area. It barely takes up any room. Quick tip, mix it with those shelf-stable mayo packets you get from takeout spots. Boom, instant meal. But here's the real surprise that's catching fire among preppers right now. Shelf-stable tofu. Yep, tofu. These new vacuum-sealed packs last up to 8 months without refrigeration. I was skeptical too, but when I tasted the teriyaki flavor right out of the package, I was sold. Even my meat-loving brother was impressed. And after Bloomberg's report on a coming soy shortage this summer, they've been flying off shelves. If you're plant-based or have dietary restrictions, don't overlook dehydrated bean flakes. Sounds weird, I know, but these are now fortified with full amino acid profiles, making them a complete protein source. One $12 bag gives you 24 servings of protein, and it cooks in minutes. My cousin, who has celiac disease, said this became her lifeline during a hurricane evacuation. Emergency shelters had 0 gluten-free options. Here's the final insider tip most people miss. Protein powder isn't just for gym buffs anymore. The new emergency-grade whey blends are... Now here's a game-changer that's quietly flying under the radar. Emergency-grade protein powder isolates. These are not your average gym supplements. They come with a 3-year shelf life, require no cooking, and cost as little as 87 cents per serving at places like Costco. That's the cheapest source of long-term survival protein you can buy right now, period. I started mixing mine with water in a basic shaker bottle, but then I discovered a hack that took things to another level. This powder blends right into almost anything. I've added it to soup, oatmeal, even pancake batter for my kids, and guess what? They never noticed. But I knew they were getting a protein boost exactly when they needed it most. Last week, I spoke to a supply chain expert who didn't mince words. He told me, if trucks stop rolling for just 4 days, protein sources will completely vanish from shelves. 4 days. That's not fear-mongering. That's basic logistics. Most grocery stores don't stock big reserves anymore. They rely on fast, just-in-time delivery systems. And when things go wrong, shelves empty in hours, not days. I've seen it happen 3 times in my life, and every time, protein was the first thing to disappear. Please don't wait to act on this. Your family's health and energy might depend on decisions you make this week. I can tell you from experience, there's a huge difference between panic and peace. And peace, it comes from being prepared. We actually rotate through our supply regularly, so nothing goes to waste. These aren't just emergency rations, they've become a natural part of our lifestyle. Now, let's talk about something that almost everyone forgets until it's way too late. Item 3. Cooking oil. Sounds simple, right? But during the last major shortage, cooking oil vanished from store shelves for nearly 3 months in some states. And according to a March report from Global Supply Chain Weekly, this time the shortages could be even worse. You might be thinking, it's just oil, I can go without it. But let me ask you something. Try cooking anything for a week without using oil. Total nightmare. Here's the crazy part. The average American household only has enough cooking oil to last 9 days. That's it. And just last week, I spoke with a manager at my local grocery store. He said they're already getting half the oil shipments they used to. His words, "We order 100 cases, we get 50. It's been like that for weeks." So which oils should you actually get? I've done the testing, the tasting, and the research, so you don't have to. First, skip the fancy stuff. Extra virgin olive oil might sound healthy and gourmet, but it goes rancid fast, especially in warm conditions. I learned that the hard way during the 2020 shortages. My pricey bottle turned sour in under 6 months. Instead, stock up on refined coconut oil. According to a study published in the Journal of Food Science this January, refined coconut oil can stay good for up to 5 years if stored properly. 5 years. That's not a typo. Plus, it solidifies at room temperature, which means no messy leaks in your pantry or bug problems. I've had the same jar in storage for over 2 years now. Still perfect. Next, get yourself some avocado oil. This one's a powerhouse. It has the highest smoke point of any cooking oil, 520 degrees Fahrenheit, which means you can use it for everything. Frying, roasting, baking. It's what I personally switched to last year, and I haven't looked back. My friend, who's a professional chef, swears by it. She told me it's the only oil she trusts for both daily cooking and emergency situations. And here's the best part. It's loaded with omega-3 fatty acids and antioxidants, which become even more important when your diet is limited and fresh fruits and veggies are scarce. But what comes next might surprise you even more. These oils aren't just for cooking. They have some serious survival potential. During long power outages, coconut oil becomes a natural antibacterial ointment for minor cuts and scrapes. I saw it firsthand when my sister had to use it after a week-long storm knocked out power in her area. It worked better than some over-the-counter ointments. Avocado oil, on the other hand, can condition leather goods and prevent cracking. And both oils can double as emergency fire starters. Just soak a cotton ball in either oil, and you've got yourself a mini fire starter that burns for nearly 5 minutes. Enough time to get a real fire going when you need it most. So, how much should you stock up on? Well, emergency preparedness experts generally recommend 1 gallon of oil per person for a 3-month supply. I know, that might sound like a lot. But think about it. We're not just talking about a few days of shortages here. We could be facing months of disruption. And here's a pro tip no one talks about. Instead of buying 1 giant jug, go for smaller containers. This way, you can open just what you need without exposing the rest of your stock to air, which speeds up degradation. Personally, I buy 16-ounce bottles and store about 8 of them. That way, I can use them without worrying about wasting the whole lot. One more thing. Store your oils in a cool, dark place, not next to your stove, where heat and light break them down faster. And here's an easy hack I've been doing for years. Write the purchase date on the bottles with a permanent marker. This way, you'll always know how fresh they are. I also rotate my oils each time I go grocery shopping, using the oldest for cooking and adding fresh bottles to the back of the storage shelf. Simple, but it works. Trust me, don't wait on this. Oil shortages hit hard and fast, and these multi-purpose oils could become absolute gold if things take a turn for the worse. Just last weekend, I noticed limits on cooking oil at 2 different stores in my area. It's happening already, so stay alert. Now, let's talk about something that pairs perfectly with those oils, and might just be the most underrated item on our list. Item 4. Versatile staple grains. Here's something that shocked me last week. I was chatting with a former grocery supply manager, and she told me that during the 2020 shortages, rice and pasta disappeared off the shelves within just 48 hours. But the grains that actually have better nutrition and shelf life just sat there, completely ignored. People grabbed what they knew, leaving behind literal gold mines of nutrition that could have been a game changer for them in an emergency. Most people don't realize it, but quinoa, bulgur, and barley aren't just trendy health foods. These grains are survival powerhouses that almost no one thinks to grab. I learned this the hard way. I ended up paying triple on the secondary market just to get basic grains when I should have just grabbed them earlier. Don't make my mistake. Here's why these grains are so important. A March 2025 study from Cornell University found that quinoa provides complete protein, with all 9 essential amino acids your body can't produce on its own. Think about that. A grain that gives you protein when meat might be impossible to find. Plus, their research found that people who added these grains to their diet had way better energy levels during stressful times. That's exactly what you'll need if we face long disruptions after May 5th. And the best part, the price of these overlooked grains hasn't spiked yet. Unlike rice, which has already seen a 23% price increase because of expected shortages.